The Advanced Textile program is a program we've created to open up all the resources we have with the Textile Museum and TextileLab for young makers at the beginning of their career. We've created a 10-week hybrid program, so part online and part on-site in our museum and our lab. What's really incredibly special about the Advanced Textile program is that we can give the participants the opportunity to work in our textile lab, to work with the experts in our museum, to work with the experts from our network, and also to learn from each other in collaboration. We have this playground here that is normally not as accessible to young makers. And seeing the reaction of the participants when they enter the textile lab for the first time and when they realize, like, all these machines, all these skills, all this expertise, all these materials, we can work with that. It's ours for the coming 2 weeks and we can do anything. Really, the sky is the limit. When that sinks in, and just the big smiles when they see, like, whoa, we get to play with this stuff, that's really amazing.
Oh my God, it's like a dreamland, dream place, dream workplace for textile people.
What is amazing about this group is that they come from different backgrounds. Some are artists, some are fashion designers, but they are coming with incredible ideas of ways of thinking of structure within making fabric and making tapestry, or knitting, or other ways of weaving together. And I think bringing people from different worlds, even those within the place of weaving tapestry or knitting, that they come with very specific relationship to thinking about ecology, thinking about material, and thinking about structure. So they're bringing in many ideas, and I find them really fascinating in the way they're exploring those ideas here at the ATP program.
You work with very different participants and they have all very different ideas. And it challenges me also to think differently for the technique weaving and how to translate it, what yarns I'm going to use, what structures to use. So it keeps me also very keen, like how do I transfer the ideas to these techniques. It's like a huge creative explosion, and it's really nice to see them working this intensely on the machines. They only have 2 weeks, so they need to work really fast and they need to think really fast, and sometimes that is nice, then you can do the reflections after. And for me to kind of like dive into that process is bringing so much energy.
Every person has its own approach, and it's really, I think, the best way to collaborate, that we exchange the ideas. I also see what other people are doing and I can learn so much from that. And I see someone else's samples and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't think about it, and maybe I can incorporate it some other way in my design. So it's, yeah, like I think the exchange of ideas is amazing.
I think they've done a really good job in curating a diverse mixture of us to put together, to bring different specialities or different strengths to learn from one another.
We've worked now for 2 days now, and I just wanted to know from each person, how do you want to come together to be able to explore certain things together? I'm looking at the ways that they're making. I'm also listening to what they want, and also adding to the ways of thinking about the materials, the way of making, the structures that they're trying to create. So it's a lot of looking, discussing, finding solutions, and also being at awe at what comes out of the machine sometimes.
Well, my process started off with actually a few samples that I brought, previous samples of weaving, but also other techniques, and also some projects which I had pinned down as interesting by other designers and things that fascinate me. And I threw that all together and started working on a few first samples to get familiar with weaving, for example. And now in the second week, I'm kind of working on focusing more, like diving deeper into these different samples that I made last week to develop them further and see how far I can get.
What I like about working with the ATP program is that you work with young people that have a lot of new ideas and are not necessarily familiar with knitting machines, in my case. They don't have like rules or background that really sometimes would limitate you, because by experience you will say, oh, that might be difficult. But actually you break those boundaries and you just try it.
I am inserting different foam structures into a knitted material, and ideally it's going to end up having some wire structures in between, and that's going to really be the basis of the sculpture, and this foam is supposed to be a superstructural element.
So I ordered the machine to stop so she can insert the foam inside the machine and inside the fabric, and that's not conventional, not at all.
And I'm trying to work on sculptural, multi-layer textiles. I think I've learned so much that I will have to let it sink for a while. But I think I've learned really a lot about the technique and programming and weaving on industrial machines in general. I was also able to use so many different yarns that I haven't touched before. So it also gives me idea for the future what I can work on.
I came with this beads sculptures that I've made, and I think that there is something very textile inside because it's quite moving and it's very palpable. And so we started developing work with nets just to combine and to see how this different materials and structures work together.
I've experimented with paper yarns as well as linen yarns on a black and white warp, and the idea was to really make texture come to a flat surface, and also this playful idea of discovering through opening of floats.
I decided last week to start with knit, the circular knitting machine, which was a complete learning curve for me. I've never done that before. There's also a library here, and Jantina has picked out these books for me related to my interests that I conveyed to her. And the curators have selected some objects from the collection to bring up to show me as well, which is wonderful. This is almost like a tailored exhibition almost for me to come and see these amazing historical pieces of artwork.
I think I had an open mind for this program. It's not like I'm aiming to create some work out from it. I think throughout this 2 weeks with experiencing the machines, I feel like, oh my God, I want to produce more. Like, I want to do this, I want to do that.
Initially, I came here because I wanted to use the store machine because I was trained to program the store machine. But then finally, I jumped on the circular knitting machine, which I really loved, and I have never used that before. And now I'm doing weaving, so I'm doing the totally opposite of what I thought I would do.
This whole process has brought to me like a lot of energy and inspiration. They are so eager, and there's so much positivity and energy in the room, which is really nice.
It's a time to expand the mind, it's a time to explore, and it's a time to meet other makers in the world that might have similar ideas or different ideas, but those fertilization of ideas come together in this melting pot, which is called the TextielLab.